Hey everyone. So, let's talk about a huge problem in AI today. All our amazing AI tools, well, they don't talk to each other. They're all in their own little worlds. Today, we're going to dive into how we can build a kind of shared memory so they can finally start collaborating. So this is the big question, right? How do we get different AIs to share what they know? I mean, if you use more than one AI app, you've definitely felt this. Your AI that helps you write emails has no clue what your AI calendar assistant just scheduled for you. It's like each one has a case of amnesia about the others. So how do we fix this? How do we build that shared memory? All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to define the problem, which we'll call AI amnesia. Then we'll look at the solution, a really cool concept we can think of as a USB for AI. After that, we'll actually walk through building the server for it, and then test it out to see if it works. And finally, we'll zoom out and talk about why this is such a game changer for everything coming next. Okay, first up, let's really get to the heart of the problem. This idea of AI amnesia. Just think about it for a second. Most of the AI agents we use, chatbots, writing assistants, you name it, they all live in these isolated digital bubbles. They're in total silos, and that means they can't share crucial context, like your preferences or what you talked about last time. Every single time you interact with one, it's like starting from scratch. So, if these digital silos are the problem, what's the fix? Well, it turns out the solution is this brilliantly simple idea that acts like a universal adapter for all our AI tools. It's called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP for short. Anthropic developed it as an open standard, basically to create a common language for AIs. It gives them a standardized way to pass around all that important contextual information, memories, user settings, the whole shebang. And honestly, this is the best way to think about it. MCP is literally like a USB port for AI. You know how a single USB standard lets your mouse, your keyboard, your camera all plug into the same computer? MCP does the exact same thing, but for AI applications. It's that universal plug we've been desperately needing. All right, enough with the theory. Let's roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty, at least conceptually, and see what it takes to actually build a server that uses MCP to create the shared memory. Now, don't worry, we're not going to get lost in lines and lines of code. Here's the high-level view. You start by installing a couple of software libraries. You set up a folder for your project. Then you kick off the MCP server itself. And finally, and this is the really important part, you define the tools that let the AIs actually read from and write to that shared memory. For our little server, we're just going to create 3 really simple but super powerful tools. First, share context. This lets an AI add a new piece of information. Then, retrieve context. This lets an AI search the memory for something specific. And finally, list all context, which just gives an agent a complete download of everything stored in there. It's really that simple. Store it, search for it, and see it all. So, we've laid out the plan for the server and its tools. But does it actually work? Let's put it to the test with a handy tool called the MCP inspector. Okay, first things first, we run our Python script. And there we go. We get a confirmation that our MCP server is up and running, just waiting for something to connect to it. Now we fire up the MCP inspector. It's a nice graphical tool that's going to let us talk directly to our server. We just point it to our script, hit connect, and look at that, a green connected status. We're in business. And this is the magic moment. The second we connect, the inspector asks our server, hey, what can you do? And boom, it automatically discovers the 3 tools we just defined: share context, list all context, and retrieve context. That confirms that our server is working and advertising its skills correctly. Time for the first real test. Let's use that share context tool. We'll pretend we are Agent 1, and we want to store the message, hello world from MCP. We just type in the agent name and the content, click Run Tool, and we get a success message. The context is officially stored in our shared memory. Okay, so we know the information is in there, but can a different agent find it? Let's try out the Retrieve Context tool. We'll search for the word world, pretending we're another agent who needs that info. And would you look at that? The tool searches the entire memory and pulls up the exact entry we just made. Perfect! And last but not least, let's try the List All Context tool. This one gives us the big picture, a full dump of absolutely everything stored in the shared memory from every agent. It's like the master view of the shared brain we've just created. So, we did it. We built and tested a system that actually works. But this is about so much more than just one little script. Let's pull back and look at the bigger picture here. So let's just recap what we've really done here. We've walked through how to build a simple but really powerful MCP server. We've enabled different agents to share context seamlessly. We gave them the fundamental building blocks of memory, the ability to store, search, and list data. And, most importantly, we proved the whole thing works. You know, what we just walked through isn't just a fun coding project. It's a blueprint. It's a model for how entire ecosystems of AI are going to communicate in the future. This is how we get from a world of lonely, forgetful AIs to a future where they're all part of one collaborative, interconnected network. And that really brings us to the final, most exciting question. I want you to think about this. If all the AI tools you use every single day could genuinely talk to each other, share what they know, and learn from one another, what could you build? What new things would become possible? That's the future a standard like MCP opens up.